The Baltimore Ravens could not get it done on yesterday against the Packers. There's a lot to unpackage in this game. Let's get into it. Let's talk Ravens with Yolanda. Today's video, we are going to discuss each player that makes up the offensive line. Good evening, Ravens flock. How is everyone doing tonight? I hope you all are doing well. I want to start by saying, wow, it's been a rough week for the Baltimore Ravens, an extremely rough week. Have you ever had a week at work where no matter what the assignment was that was put ahead of you, no matter what the tasks are that you were supposed to accomplish, you just didn't feel like you were firing on all cylinders? It was a really tough week for you. Well, the Baltimore Ravens can certainly identify, because this week for them, that was it. They had a terrible week, and there are some good there are some good nuggets that came out, but there was a lot of not so good. A lot of things that need to be addressed. We're going to unpackage all of that in tonight's video, in tonight's live stream. Want to first say rest in peace to Coach Joe D. We learned earlier of his passing. I learned about it through Twitter, or X, and the O-line coach Joe D has been around for a very long time, and one of the things that he has been known for, among many things, but just a very affable person, likable, down to earth, very pleasant person. I've never met him personally. This is just what I'm hearing about him, and I've always heard this about him. But one of the things I was looking forward to from him is coaching up our youngsters. We have a lot of young talent on offensive line this year, and that was Joe D's specialty. So rest in peace to Joe D. My thoughts, my prayers are with he and his family and all of those who knew him and are now mourning his loss. With that, I will go ahead and jump right into tonight's show. And before I begin, I'd like to give a warm welcome to everyone who has already joined in the chat. First, we have with us, good evening, Tanja. Happy Sunday to you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining. Yes, very sad day today for the Ravens, but it's been a tough week. And this was just something that made it a little bit tougher. Coach D seemed like a wonderful man. By all accounts, he seemed like an excellent person, a good human being, and very passionate about his Ravens. So, we've lost a couple of key people this off season, and now having Joe D transition from this life to the next, I just, I'm thinking a lot about his family. I'm thinking a lot about the players who adored him. I'm thinking a lot about the coaching staff who loved him, and this season's for you, Joe D. Rest in peace. We have with us tonight Zephia Broman. I hope I pronounced your name right, Zephia. If I did not, let me know, but I hope I got it right. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining. 70 is entirely too early. 70 is too early. Tell me what you mean by 70 is entirely too. Oh, you're talking about Joe D. Yeah. He passed away at the age of 70. Yes. It just reminds you, Jay the Sixth, thanks for being here. It reminds you how fragile life is and how delicate. And we're not here forever. So cherish your loved ones while you have them, and let your family, your friends know that you care. Reach out to them as often as you can, because no day is promised. And I thought he was getting better. I thought Joe D was getting better and would return to us at some point, but that was not to be. Yes, Lady Laura, Baltimore, thank you for being here. Yes, rest in peace to Coach D. 86 Ghost, Brandon Bazel, thank you so much for joining. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. And that is Tanja's cousin. Okay, Zephia Broman, that is Tanja's cousin. Good. Okay, well, great. I'm glad she's sharing the channel with family. Do the same. If you really enjoy the content, make sure on your way in the building, please go ahead and hit the like button. Hit the like button even before we talk about everything that we're going to discuss tonight. If you just know this content is going to be good because it's a lot of stuff that we need to discuss, go ahead and hit the like button for me. And if you're new, welcome. Please make sure to subscribe and join the family. And that's Lady Laura saying hello. Army Magic, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much. And Zephia says, under attack, but I'm holding on to my faith. That's what you have to do. In times like these, Zephia, I don't know what's going on in your life, but I'll certainly be praying for you. Hold on to your faith, remain steadfast, and remember, trust that all shall be well. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and dive right into tonight's show. I am going to start with offense, give you my thoughts on the game. I don't really have a lot on offense. Well, I mean, I do, but it's not a lot of positives. And we're going to have one of those honest conversations. I'm a realist. I'm usually one who's very optimistic. But from what I saw yesterday on offense, there was very little to be optimistic about. And I'm going to give you my thoughts. You can certainly share yours as well. We're going to have one of those difficult conversations tonight where I'm just going to I'm not holding back. You're going to get it real life, real time, how I'm feeling. Offense, a lot of 3 and outs. Shout out to Falele with the false start from the start early in the game. And, it just didn't get much better for him throughout the course of the game. Tez Walker. That is a wide receiver who I had my eye on. I really wanted him to come out, show in this final preseason game, show why we drafted him, show what we expected out of him, that big body wide receiver who can really be a weapon for Lamar Jackson. I didn't see it. He made a couple of good catches, a couple of catches, short yard gainage. That's great. Not going to take that away from him. But the athleticism, what I was looking for from him, I didn't see it. And it could be that he just didn't have the opportunity because look at who was throwing to him. We had Josh Johnson. I'll share my thoughts on him in a moment. And then at other turns, we had Devin Leary. That's where it goes south really quickly for me. But, as you're considering a roster, and this is for the Baltimore Ravens front office, as they are considering a roster, as you begin to compile it, you put the best players on the roster who give you the best chance to succeed, to win, because that's ultimately what it's about. And I really didn't see that. And I'll start with the O-line. I've been told several times that the O-line is going to be fine. Don't worry. We're okay. Give it some time. The O-line will gel. Might not be right away. And, it might take a couple of weeks, but we'll see growth. We'll see improvement. We have to remember that 2/3 of our O-line starters were out there yesterday. Everyone with the exception of our left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, and our center, Tyler Linderbaum. The remainder of the O-line, primarily, those are starters. So if I didn't see the progression, the development from week 1 to week 2, carrying it over to week 3, that's problematic. It's something that I took note of. So I've been saying pretty much all off season, the O-line is a concern. The O-line is problematic. The O-line needs to be addressed. And here we are now at the conclusion of the preseason. Week 3, did we see an improvement? Did we see the type of, and again, we're not going to get perfection. It's the preseason. We're not going to get 100% cohesion. It's still very early. But I'm looking for incremental improvement, and I did not see it on the members of the O-line. Overall, I didn't see it. So what I don't want to do is I don't want there to be blame for Lamar Jackson if we get into the regular season and we continue to see this O-line struggle as we have, let's be honest. Some of the players look downright awful. Daniel Falele, he doesn't have the athleticism. He has the size. I think he's 6'6", 6'7". He's huge. But if you can't move your feet, if you can't get in position, if you can't get leverage, if you cannot become, if you can't defend your quarterback, that's a problem. If you can't become that offensive lineman that we need you to be, that's a huge problem. And I'm just not seeing it. That's not to say that Falele doesn't make some good plays, because he does. But if I had my choice, who am I taking? Falele or Cleveland? Let me know in the chat. If you happen to be watching on replay, thank you so much. Leave a comment down below. Tuesday is the final cut. 53-man roster will be solidified 4 p.m. on Tuesday. So who are you taking at right guard? Are you taking Daniel Falele after what you saw in the last 3 games? Or would you prefer Ben Cleveland? Remember, you have your franchise quarterback behind him. Who's taking care of him up front? So the importance of the O-line and the deficiencies that we've seen cannot be overlooked. I cannot underscore it enough that unless we address this offensive line, and I don't know what the plan is, I hope and I pray that the Ravens do have a plan to address it. I would like to see it addressed sooner rather than later, because you want to give the members, whether we bring in someone new, whether someone gets cut on another team and we decide, hey, this might be a good fit, you've got to allow for some time for them to gel, some time to get acclimated. But as it stands right now, I haven't heard anything, and who knows? We might be all set at O-line with the members that we have now. We'll see, if Coach Warhop, who is now serving as the interim O-line coach, will actually remain, if he'll be offered a permanent position. I don't know. That's also something that is a question mark that needs to be addressed, because we need stability. We need to know that whoever is now taking over for Coach D on a permanent basis is able to look at the talent that we have, look at the deficiencies that we have, and take us from where we are to where we want to be. One positive, I'll say, moving on from O-line. So my thoughts on the O-line overall, it's been what it's been all season. We left in the hands of our offensive linemen. We've left that in 2/3 rookies. I'm not comfortable with that, but I'm going to have to be, because unless the Ravens show me otherwise, that's kind of the direction we're going. One positive on offense. Shout out to Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace for the touchdown, the lone touchdown that we made. Josh Johnson caught Tylan Wallace in stride for a 49-yard touchdown. Beautiful. Tylan, you just went ahead and solidified your spot in the roster. If there was a question of, is Tylan going to make it? I always thought he would. Because he's too valuable on special teams. And we know our Ravens, they love to see players who can be plugged in and played in different positions. They love that. Tylan Wallace fits that perfectly. I would like to see Tylan get more opportunity at wide receiver, because unless we bring in another wide receiver who might get cut from another team, our wide receiver depth just doesn't look all that stunning. Okay, it's not fetching, if you please. I did a 53-man roster prediction a couple of days ago. After this live stream, I'll make sure to link the video in the description box below, so you can go ahead and check that out. I don't think there's going to be a lot of changes, maybe a couple on defense, but I had Tylan Wallace making the roster. I had him as one of our receivers. So that is good. That was a plus. We saw Josh Johnson, like I said, score that touchdown. Beautiful to Tylan, pass to Tylan for him to score the touchdown. That was great. We did have a 4th down conversion by Charlie Kolar. It's good to see him, because I do think I put Charlie Kolar on the list as well for our 3rd tight end. I put Charlie on there. So I think he's going to make it. And it was good to see that, hey, we were fourth, I think with 4th and 1, maybe 4th and 2. And Harbaugh said, go for it. I said, oh boy, here we go. And hey, I was happy with the outcome. So kudos to Charlie Kohler. I don't think his roster spot was up for grabs, but hey, we're we're hey, these Ravens, I don't know. We're going to see. I'm hoping for the best. Another takeaway from the game. Devin Leary is just not it. Later on, I'll show you some stats, and we'll just have a look at his stats just to see. Not pretty. Not okay. So I don't know what we're going to do there. He is a draft pick. And what I'm seeing is, as we look at these players and as we evaluate them, let's remember that we drafted them with the expectation that these were going to be players coming in and making a contribution, if not right away, because obviously Devin Leary would have been backup number 3. I don't see him making the roster. I just don't. I hope he does not make the roster. He doesn't. It's just not it. The one thing I'll say is, or the question that I have, how do you think the Ravens are going to do in terms of having to move on from several draft picks? Do you think they'll move on from Devin Leary? Do you think they'll move on from Tez Walker? Do you think they'll move on from... So we're seeing different draft picks that just are not it. A little underwhelming. And so now the question is, do we keep them? Because you can only stash 2 on IR. And we'll talk about injuries also in just a few minutes. But if we keep them, then we're occupying a roster spot because that we need for someone maybe in the secondary. We need some depth there. And we have plenty of it. But hey, in my 53-man roster prediction, some people aren't going to make it. It's just some are not going to make it. So we need all the spots that we can get. And I think we have to, at this point, really consider moving on from draft picks. Although that's not kind of what we like to do. Put them on the practice squad. Will they clear waivers? Devin Leary probably will. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's another team out there who has their eye on Devin Leary and needs a backup quarterback. I just don't know. But one player, let me go back to Ben Cleveland. I know I said I was going to move on from the O-line. But I forgot to mention Ben Cleveland. What really is the deal with him? Do the Ravens just not like him at all? I read somewhere, I think it was a comment or maybe it was a post on social media, that they thought Ben Cleveland might be, considered, or the Chargers might be interested in Ben Cleveland. I said, no, really? You never know. Is Ben Cleveland on his way out? I hope not, because then we have to really, really trust in Daniel Falele. I don't think he's ready to start week 1. I'm going to take a couple of comments because there was one person in here that I didn't say hello to earlier. I see Eric L. is joining us. Good evening. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here. And Jay the Six says, I gave y'all an extra touchdown in my prediction. Oh, well, yeah, there's that. And we didn't come close to it. I thought it would be a low-scoring game. I did not. And I said in my last live stream, I'll make sure to link that in the description box below as well, where I previewed it with a Green Bay Packers YouTuber. I said we're going to lose. We're going to lose this game. And that was based off how we looked on Thursday during the joint practice. I said we look terrible. We don't look good. And sure enough, we did not look good. Good evening, Nisha C. Glad you're here. Thank you for being here. And yes, 3 starters on the O-line. Yeah, 3 starters played. You had Voorhees, Falele, Rosengarten. And it possibly could be Ben Cleveland. I don't know what direction they're going in, but yeah, And just like Super Brother said, good evening, thank you for being here. He said, Chris Jones, first week against this O-line. That's laughable. And you have to, consider we're only a week and a half away. So time is ticking. Either we're going to get it right before we face Chris Jones or we're not. And by all accounts yesterday, with 3/4 of our starters out there, we didn't look good. Lamar Jackson, like Lady Laura Baltimore said, we're praying for him. We're praying our QB doesn't get hurt with that O-line. That's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah, exactly. So takeaways here. Couldn't miss Daniel Falele at Bucky. Jay the Six. A couple of takeaways before I move on to the defense. For me, on offense, I know it's just preseason. I know some are going to say it doesn't count. Relax. Our O-line is going to be fine. It's not a problem. No need to, for concern. I'm getting concerned. What grade do you give the O-line? After yesterday's performance, drop it in the chat. Let me know what grade you give our O-line. I'm going to give them a C-, and I'm being very generous. So I'm going to give them a C-, but they didn't do well. They did not. Another takeaway, while you all are typing your grades in the chat for our O-line, another takeaway, our run game, we didn't have one. I'll share the stats with you shortly. We were not able to run the ball effectively at all. And, what if Derrick Henry, I'm not going to say gets injured because I don't want to speak that, but what if they decide to take Derrick Henry out of the game and put in one of our backup running backs? Then we have Justice Hill, and then we have Owen Wright, who I thought was going to make the roster, but he got injured on yesterday. Broken foot is what I heard. So he's out. And remember, you get 2 injured reserve, you get 2 IR stashes. So he's probably going to be one because he, in my eyes, was much better and showed much better flashes of what he can do as compared to Rasheen Ali. Here's another draft pick. This is what I'm saying. Look at all of the names that I've just, thrown out there who are draft picks who've not really shown up, whether it's because of injury, whether it's because of the just, lackluster performance. It doesn't matter right now. What matters is we need to have a squad together ready to play in a week and a half. And I don't know that we have one yet. So, another takeaway that I have is we were outcoached on offense. There, I said it. Let's be honest. We look and stats don't lie. And I know I said that in one of my videos and someone told me stats don't lie, but they don't always tell the whole truth. And there may be some truth and there may be some logic in that statement. But if we look at the stats, which we will in a moment, on our passing yard, in terms of passing yards, in terms of rushing yards, in terms of just overall totals, Green Bay exceeded us, ran circles around us. I know it's the offseason, it's preseason game, but that's something that we need to really be mindful of. Let me see what grades you all have given. Nana is here. Good evening, Nana. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Army Magic said, yes, bring Snoop back or try Joe Milton as QB2. I would say bring Snoop, but he did good. I heard that Snoop threw a touchdown to James Prochet yesterday. Good for them. I'm very happy. So I don't know that Snoop is going to get cut. He might. They have a lot of quarterbacks over there. He might. And if he does, bring Snoop back. But how would you all feel Mike White got cut from the Dolphins today? What about Mike White? I heard good things about him. Or Ryan Tannehill. The problem I have is if we wait and we wait, other teams are going to go out and make moves. And we're just going to look like we're just sitting idly by. And it's not going to be a good look. So, yeah, Tanja says she gives the O-line a C minus as well. Yeah. Ooh, Nana gives them a D minus. That's concerning. This is not okay. Who thought it was a good idea to say goodbye to more than half of your veterans on O-line, 2/3 of them, Morgan Moses, Kevin Zeitler. Like, we would be having a different conversation if we knew just keeping Kevin Zeitler. But that's not where we are. So a D minus, and I see Zephia Broman says D plus. So we're all thinking the same thing. D, C minus D. And if you're watching on replay and you disagree, if you think that our O-line performed A, B, or even a C plus, let me know, and let me know why. Tell me, don't just tell me, oh, I think they are at a B minus. Give me the evidence that you have that supports that, because the evidence that I saw, which was the tape that we watched, the film, the game that we watched yesterday, is just, it's not it. But I'm going to move on now to the defense. It was a rough day for our D-line as well. Several times, the running back from Green Bay, they were able to slip through the D-line, and we ended up giving large runs. We gave up several plays for a large, amount of, yards, and that's not good. I understand that, we didn't have our primary D-line starters. I get that. But we have to be able to rely on our depth to stop the run. The D-line has to be able to do it. Robinson came in, and he was there to clean up when the interior D-line was unable to stop the run. So I'm glad to see that from Robinson. We're going to ask a lot of him this year. Tavius, he's going to have to be that person, that man, that guy. We need it. And he did a pretty good job of being able to stop the run. Couple of good points on defense. Wiggins played for, I think, about a quarter and a half, or a little bit more than a quarter, and he was consistent. Everything that we've seen, all the accounts that we've heard about Wiggins, he's been that. Speedy, lightning fast, sticky in coverage, good instincts. All of that was there. So I'm glad they took him out of the game. One person who I was so happy, I was rooting for him, Jalen Armour-Davis. He secured his roster spot yesterday, and I was so thrilled for him. It's been a long road through injuries and just, trying to battle his way back, setbacks, all of the things. But he is looking good. There were a couple of instances where his, the other one that I kind of lumped together with Jalen Armour-Davis is Pepe Williams. On Thursday, I think, or Wednesday, when I did my roster prediction, I included Pepe Williams. I said, I believe Pepe is going to make the team. I believe he's going to make the cut. Forget that, scratch, just stop, just never mind. Pepe, he all but just gave his roster spot away. He said, no, thank you. I'm okay. Pepe, he got outplayed. He got manhandled almost. And the instance that one of the most memorable instances, and not in a good way, was when the touchdown was scored on him, and he was a split second too late. He didn't turn his head in time. And then just like that, a touchdown resulted. We can't have that. So that's I think Pepe is going to be cut. Whereas, and what a difference a day makes, because if you asked me Wednesday before the joint practice, is Pepe making the team? I would have said, yeah. And I had him on my roster. Nope. I'm taking him right on off. Nope. Even though he's okay in coverage, he's been good. He's made some plays games 1 and 2. What I think, and I hope the coaches think the same way, you want to see the players continue to build, continue to improve. And that's not what we saw with Pepe. I know people, players can have up and down games, but this is like your audition. You audition like your life, your job depends on it. And he didn't show up well for his audition. So I don't think he's going to make it. We gave the quarterback on defense, going back to the defense as a whole, we gave the quarterback way too much time to throw the ball. Where was our pass rush? It was little to none. And the moments and the instances where we did apply pressure, they were able to effectively, run the ball. So we have some things to clean up on defense as well. The saving grace, I think, why I'm giving more latitude to the defense is because a lot of these defensive players are probably not going to be day one starters, with the exception, obviously, of like your Trenton Simpson, your Tavius Robinson. I think he might be a starter, or maybe if he's not, he'll have some type of significant role. But a lot of the members in the secondary and also in the D line, I don't know that they're going to be starters day one. So I took a little bit of solace in that, like, okay, versus on offense, hey, these are our these are members of especially the O-line. These are offensive linemen who are going to be out there, like someone mentioned earlier, in a week and a half against Chris Jones. So another positive, Bo Braid. On my 53-man roster prediction, I did not list him. I had it in my notes, and I forgot to say it when I did the video. But the note I had was, and this was on Wednesday before the game, I said, I can see Bo Braid making the roster, but we probably would have to determine what we're going to do with like Nick Samick to free up an additional roster spot. And depending on what we do there, Bo Braid might have an opportunity. We might have an extra spot for him. Well, fast forward to today. We know Nick Samick. I don't know his injury. I don't know the extent of it. I don't know if it's going to be just something temporary. I know he was carted off the field. Okay, when they bring the card out, that to me signifies something pretty serious, pretty significant. So I don't know what we're going to do with Nick Samick, center, backup. I'm not sure. This might force the Ravens to keep Ben Cleveland. Maybe they had a thought prior to the game to say, we'll cut Ben and say goodbye. I don't think they have that luxury now, especially not knowing the severity of Nick Samick's injury. And remember, Tyler Linderbaum is still dealing with that soft tissue injury, I believe, in his neck. We'll see if he's ready game one. Takeaways on defense. We could not stop the run. The Packers, and this is a note I put down as I was watching the game, Packers put on a clinic on how the run defense should be. As I mentioned earlier, little to no pass rush. Ajabo, he played okay. I was hoping that he would have a better game. I know he's going to be a day one starter. He is. I know that Ajabo is going to be out there, and rightfully so. We need to see the return on investment. He's healthy now. We need to see him out there alongside my guy, Odafe Owe, because Odafe Owe is going to pull his weight. We just need Ajabo to do the same. He played okay, but not as well as he did last week. So again, I know players can have up and down weeks, but this is the time where you really need to show all of your hard work has gone into this moment. And this is, so he did okay, but I still think, obviously he's making the roster and he's still going to be a day one starter. Let me just say no to Joe Evans. That's an absolute no. Despite Joe Evans having 2 QB hits and a couple of pressures on the quarterback, I just don't like what I'm seeing from Joe Evans. I don't like it. I don't think he's making the roster anyway. I didn't have him as including him as on the roster. So we'll see what happens. He'll get cut. I don't know if another team will pick him up, if he'll clear waivers. Who knows? A couple of injuries that came out on, from this game. Owen Wright, I mentioned earlier, broken foot. It's unfortunate because I thought he earned his spot on the roster. He was all but there in my book. I just mentioned Nick Samick and Rigby. Rigby was also injured, but I didn't have Rigby making the roster. So there's that. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Oh, one other thing before we go. Let me know. Give me your overall grade on defense. How did our defense perform yesterday? And while you're doing that, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look at some statistics because, stats don't lie. All right. This is what I wanted to show. Josh Johnson, all right, starting with the offense, 5 of 7, 71 yards. Team as an overall, their yards, 79. In comparison to the passing yards of the Green Bay Packers, 100 133. Not good. Not good. That's why I say our offense we didn't show up yesterday. And more importantly, let's look at our receiving yards. This one wasn't so disparaging. It wasn't too much of a difference here in terms of our passing yards from our 107 to 133. But this next one, I think I passed it maybe. Rushing yards. That's what I wanted to show. Baltimore, 98 to Green Bay, 193. That's abysmal. That's terrible. So I'm going to go back to the chat, see what your grades are for defense, and then we're going to get out of here. Sean Coles, I see you. Good to see you. Good evening. Glad you're here. That's right. Sean Coles said it. Please hit that like button. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Hit the like button. I thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Nana said Ojabo is going to be a beast. He has to be. He has to be. As long as he can stay healthy, he has to be. That's right. Let me see some of your grades on defense. Wow, Sean Coles. On defense, you give us an F. Ooh, I was going to say a D. That was my grade. A C minus D, D plus. And the reason I didn't give us an F, but I can see it, is because we had some shining moments in our secondary. I was happy for, like I said, Jalen Armour-Davis, happy for Bo Braid. So there were a few positives. So that's why I didn't give him an F. Abdi, thank you for joining. Glad you're here. Yeah, D, exactly. I think we're all thinking the same. So from this, yes, Sean, absolutely. We graded our offense earlier. Our O-line did a whole bunch of nothing, a lot of nothing. Super Brother said D is for defense. We've got to do better, and we don't have much time. But Tuesday, the 53-man roster will be solidified. You might see me back here, especially if the Ravens do something rogue to this roster. You'll see me back soon enough. But that is all for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you all very soon. Remember, life is short. I talked about this earlier in the stream. Make sure you take care of yourselves, take care of each other, call each other, text one another, see how people are doing. Because as we saw with Jody, no day is promised, and we're only here for a short while. So with that, I will say goodnight. You make sure that you tune in, turn on your post notifications. The Ravens have some cleanup work to do. I'm going to still remain optimistic. And let's see what moves we make on Tuesday. Well, that is all for tonight. I will see you all very soon. Take care. God bless. Go Ravens.